Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. My name is Alexander Morgan. I've been married to Eden for the past 20 years, which, in marriage years, is somewhere between deep mutual respect and silent blinking over breakfast while chewing toast aggressively. We've got a son, Logan, who's bright, a little strange, and once tried to glue his eyelid open to stay awake during finals. He gets that from Eden's side, obviously. I work as an accountant at a bank. Yes, I'm the guy who gets irrationally excited about spreadsheets lining up. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the day Eden waltzed into the kitchen and casually said, "We've partnered with streamers to promote our summer line." Streamers? I asked, reaching for my coffee like it was holy water. You mean those kids who scream into webcams while setting fire to cereal boxes and calling it content? Eden just blinked at me with that new smug glint she'd picked up since becoming the marketing oracle of Gen Z. They're influencers, Alex. It's what the new generation is hooked on. Right, I muttered. Hooked like trout. Except the trout are now getting drunk in gas station parking lots and yelling at elderly women for TikTok likes. Eden didn't even flinch. They bring reach, engagement, youth energy. Our numbers are up by 27%. Yes, Eden, but at what cost? I said, waving my toast dramatically. Yesterday, one of them tried to twerk on top of a police cruiser in front of your company banner. That's not a brand collab, that's a felony. She gave me that look, the one that said, "You're old," and also possibly a hater. It's not 2005 anymore, Alex. Billboards are dead. Traditional marketing is dead. If you're not being sprayed with champagne by a 22-year-old named Blaze during a hot tub stream, you're irrelevant. Well, great, I said. Let me just tell the bank that. Sorry I couldn't balance the books today, Jerry. I was too busy funneling tequila with a guy whose legal name is Tonix Blast. Eden didn't laugh. She rarely laughed at my jokes these days. Maybe because I was joking less and crying more on the inside. They're professionals, she insisted, tapping away on her phone, no doubt DMing another guy with neck tattoos and a podcast about crypto. They know how to drive traffic. Traffic? Last week, one of them live streamed himself urinating on your store's window display. That's not traffic, Eden. That's public indecency. I did not marry into Hot Topic meets Jackass. She sighed and said, "You just don't get it." Oh, I got it. I got that I was now the accountant husband married to the woman who thought that a shirtless prankster riding a shopping cart into a fountain was a branding strategy. Meanwhile, I'm over here trying to calculate amortization schedules and wondering if our son will one day ask Blaze for life advice. I just want my life back. The one with commercials that had jingles, not people shouting "let's go," while lighting sparklers in their pants. God help us. Let me tell you about the night I officially lost my last molecule of patience. The night I realized I was no longer a husband, but a background prop in an influencer's prank video. It was Eden's company party. One of those unbearable events where everyone's wearing sunglasses indoors, and the music sounds like an AI trying to imitate a blender having a stroke. The venue? A rooftop. Of course. Because if you haven't toasted champagne with someone named Squirt God 420 while pretending not to be afraid of heights, are you even marketing? Anyway, I show up in my freshly dry-cleaned white linen suit, looking like an extra from a Miami Vice reboot no one asked for. I was hoping to survive the evening by hiding near the shrimp platter and maintaining eye contact with no one. And that's when it happened. Out of nowhere, one of Eden's precious little internet gremlins, Prank, King 26, real name Wesley James, age somewhere between puberty and parole, tiptoes up behind me with a can of Red Bull. The next thing I know, splash, right down my back. Red Bull, on my white suit. Yo, this dude looking like a ghost who needs a power-up. Wesley shrieked, laughing like he'd just cured cancer with Monster Energy. I stood there frozen, sticky, humiliated, smelling like a fraternity's recycling bin. And what did Eden, my wife, my partner of 2 decades, say? She giggled and said, "Alex, babe, calm down. Just enjoy. It's part of the content." Enjoy? Enjoy what? The sensation of cold syrup dripping into my crack? The slow-motion collapse of my dignity? The fact that Wesley was now filming me on his phone and narrating, "Old dude looking mad," like I was some kind of prehistoric museum exhibit? I turned to Eden and said, deadpan, "Did you just tell me to enjoy being marinated like a chicken wing by this human vape pen?" She shrugged. So, naturally, I did the only sensible thing. I lunged at Wesley. Security had to get involved. Yes, me, Alexander Morgan, CPA, was escorted away from the party by 2 men in earpieces because I tried to turn Prank, King 26, into a cautionary tale. And Eden? She refused to leave with me. I have to network, she said. I stared at her, dripping with shame and caffeine, and said, great. Network your way home. I'm done. Then I drove home alone, Red Bull seeping into my seat cushion and soul. That night, I dumped all her stuff, hair straighteners, aromatherapy crap, 12 identical black dresses, into the guest bedroom. Carefully, of course. I'm not a monster, but with purpose. She tried to talk to me. I gave her silence. I slept in peace. For the first time in years. 2 weeks went by. Not a word exchanged. She slept in the guest room like a polite Airbnb guest. The silence was magnificent. The kitchen stayed clean. No one left half-drunk kale smoothies in the fridge. Eventually, Eden apologized. She sat at the edge of the couch, looking deflated. I didn't realize it hurt you that much, she said softly. I nodded. Yeah, that's the problem. She tried to be sweet. Offered to make it up to me. But something inside me had snapped. It wasn't rage. It was worse. It was clarity. I realized I wasn't married to a woman anymore. I was married to an algorithm. A walking hashtag. Someone who looked at a grown man being humiliated and thought, wow, great engagement metrics. And that doesn't just go away. I still live in the same house. I still eat at the same table. But when Eden walks in now, I don't see my wife. I see a public relations disaster with contouring. We might still function, but deep down, I know something cracked that night. And no influencer apology or PR damage control will ever fix it. Hashtag canceled. A man reaches a point in his life when he's no longer shocked by much. Your wife joins forces with internet hooligans? Sure. A Red Bull baptism on your dry clean only suit? Why not? But even I, Alexander Morgan, certified public accountant and reluctant protagonist of a midlife crisis, didn't see this coming. I was cleaning the bedroom. Yes, me. Because heaven forbid Eden put down her phone and help with anything that doesn't involve hashtags. I was vacuuming under the dresser when I spotted it, a small, crumpled, plastic packet tucked neatly beside a fallen bobby pin and a receipt from a juice bar that charges $11 for liquefied spinach. Curious, I picked it up. It was powdery. White. Fine. At first, I thought, is this some overpriced collagen booster Eden saw on TikTok? But no. I sniffed it like an idiot and immediately coughed like I'd just licked a chalkboard. It was Coke. Not the soda. The nose-happy, very illegal kind. I stood there, packet in hand, staring at the dresser like it had betrayed me. I didn't confront Eden. Not that night. She came home hours later, giggling at her phone, wearing neon leggings and a crop top that said brand baddie. God, she looked ugly in that. I ate in silence. Fork. Chew. Chew. Sip. Silence. She didn't even notice. She was too busy laughing at whatever sparkling intellectual conversation she was having on her phone. I slept beside her, or near her really. Honestly, the silence was golden. But it buzzed with something darker now. The next day, I called Henry Cook, an old college buddy turned private investigator. Ex-cop. Wore Hawaiian shirts like they were tactical gear. He met me at his usual haunt, a bar with low lighting and the smell of deep-fried everything. I slid the little packet across the table like I was in a bad Netflix crime show. Tell me this isn't what I think it is, I said. Henry picked it up, gave it the OL once over, and said, yup. Coke. Good stuff, too. Colombian, probably. Great, I muttered. Do I get frequent flyer miles for this existential descent? Henry pocketed it like it was a tic-tac and nodded. You want me to dig in? I sighed. I want to know everything. Who, when, where, and why the hell I now share a mortgage with Scarface. Give me 15 days, he said, cracking his knuckles like a man who's about to interrogate someone using only a flashlight and sarcasm. So for the next 2 weeks, I waited and kept my distance. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I didn't search her phone. That's the worst part. I didn't even want to know who she was texting anymore. Probably some 25-year-old with an OnlyFans and a ring light. What surprised me was that Eden didn't complain. At all. She was perfectly happy, chatting and scrolling and uploading curated glimpses of her empowered boss life, while I sat in the kitchen like a rejected sitcom dad wondering when it all turned to crap. She didn't ask why I was distant. She didn't care that I hadn't touched her, hadn't even looked at her with anything other than mild nausea. She just floated. And me? I was done floating. I was anchoring. Quietly. Slowly. I hadn't filed any papers yet. But mentally, I was already moved out. One shoe in the hallway, the other out the door. I was almost ready to divorce Eden. 15 days. That's how long I gave Henry Cook, ex-cop, private investigator, wearer of loud shirts and zero facial expressions. He called me on a Thursday. Come to my office, he said, voice like gravel and disappointment. Bring antacids. So there I was, sitting in a beige folding chair in a strip mall office that smelled faintly of instant ramen and moral decay. Henry slid a folder across the table like he was presenting tax returns. Only this time the deductions involved betrayal and a guy named StreamGod98. His real name is Chad Brown, Henry said, flipping through photos like it was some twisted vacation album. 27. IRL streamer. Lives in a rented studio with neon lights and absolutely no shame. I blinked. Chad. His name is actually Chad. Henry nodded. Checks out, doesn't it? He pushed forward a USB stick with play at your own risk, scrawled on it in Sharpie. What's this? Footage, he said. Some from his livestream archive. And some explicit private videos of Eden sharing a bed with him. I stared at the stick like it might bite me. You're telling me my wife of 20 years, is cheating on me with a man who goes by StreamGod98 and films in a room full of LED strip lights. Henry just slid over a still image of Eden in what I can only describe as discount lingerie, sitting on Chad's lap, while holding a vape pen and a bottle of something that looked highly illegal. Every day, Henry said. They meet at his studio. She's into him. Deep. Emotionally, physically, and according to this toxicology report I pulled, chemically. He tapped another page. She's using coke, pills, stuff I can't pronounce, but definitely isn't FDA approved. There was a pause. I sat there, trying to remember if this was real life or a fever dream brought on by expired sushi. Thanks, Henry, I muttered. You've done enough emotional damage for one day. Henry patted my shoulder. Hey, at least you know now. It's better than living in the dark. Is it? I asked. I feel like ignorance was kind of a luxury apartment compared to this emotional dumpster fire. I left his office, USB stick in my pocket like a cursed object from a horror movie. My next stop? Kevin Hamilton, my lawyer and longtime friend. Kevin has seen me through a lot. A bad investment in cryptocurrency, a tragic goatee phase, and now this. His office was neat, lined with law books and the kind of leather furniture that screams, I bill by the hour. Alex, he said, standing to shake my hand. You look like someone just told you your house is built on a sinkhole. Worse, I said, dropping into a chair. Turns out my marriage was. I explained everything. The narcotics, the streamer, the sex tapes, Eden's new extracurricular activities involving a man who live streams himself reacting to cereal. Kevin didn't blink. You want a file? I nodded. Slowly, like a man who's just been told his dog ran off and joined a circus. Yes, I said. File for a divorce. 3 days passed. 3 whole days since Alex Morgan sat across from his lawyer and officially decided to evict his wife from both his heart and his legally bound tax benefits. He hadn't said a word to Eden in those days. Not that she noticed. Eden had become fluent in ignoring him, speaking the dialect of silent texts and giggles from behind her phone, like a teenager who thought emojis could replace reality. Meanwhile, Eden was off living her best disaster life at Chad Brown's neon-lit pleasure palace, also known as his studio. A place that smelled like Axe body spray, cheap vodka, and broken dreams. Chad was half-dressed, which was actually more dressed than usual, pacing around with his phone, streaming something that involved yelling about NFT scams and showing his abs every 4 minutes. Eden, wrapped in a towel and holding a smoothie that probably had Coke in it, was scrolling on her phone when someone knocked at the door. Yo, hold up, Chad called out, pausing his stream. If that's another brand collab, tell him to wait. He opened the door and found a middle-aged man in a gray suit holding a thick manila envelope. The man looked unimpressed by the LED lights shaped like bananas on the wall. I'm looking for Eden Morgan, the man said, glancing over Chad like he was a sentient mistake. Chad turned his head. Babe, someone here for you. He's got paperwork or something. Eden sauntered over, still in her towel, her hair damp and her expression slightly annoyed. Can this wait? We're filming something for. The man cut her off politely, but firmly. Are you Eden Morgan? She blinked. Yeah. He handed her the envelope. You've been served. There was a pause. Not the dramatic kind. More like the kind where someone farts in a yoga class and no one knows what to do. Chad let out a low whistle. Yo, this is like court stuff. Eden's smile twitched. Her fingers fumbled with the seal. She opened the envelope. Inside were crisp photos. Her. Chad. Her on Chad. Chad under her. Chad blurred due to movement. A visual masterpiece of bad decisions. Tucked beneath the visual evidence. Divorce papers. Eden's face collapsed. The towel suddenly felt like it was made of sandpaper and shame. No, she whispered. He knows. Oh God. He knows. Damn. Chad said, still chewing on cereal straight from the box. You think he had a private eye? That's wild. Kinda hot, though. She shot him a look that could vaporize a cactus. I have to go, Eden muttered, rushing toward the bedroom, yanking clothes on over her still damp skin, mascara streaking down one cheek like a raccoon caught in a rainstorm. You want me to go live and explain this to your fans, or? She slammed the door before he could finish the sentence. 5 minutes later, Eden was in her car, hands trembling on the wheel, eyeliner smudged, and heart hammering. She didn't know what she'd say, or what Alex would say, or if he'd say anything at all. But she knew this. He knew everything. And so, she drove for home. When Eden reached home, she knew something was wrong the moment she stepped through the door. The silence was heavy, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that announces itself like a verdict. The living room looked untouched, but there was an unnatural stillness to everything. She walked into the bedroom and stopped. Empty. Alex's side of the closet was bare. Every suit, every shirt, every tie, even the ridiculous Christmas sweater he swore he only wore for Logan's sake, gone. The drawers were emptied with clinical precision. No note, no dramatic farewell speech, no we need to talk. Just absence. She rushed to the kitchen. On the table sat a single sheet of paper. No envelope, no flourish. Just brutal, surgical words printed in Alex's cold accountant font. Do not try to contact me or come near my office. Here is the lawyer's number. Contact him for any negotiations about asset division. That was it. No love, Alex. No, I'll always care. Not even a goddamn goodbye. Eden stared at the note. Her hand trembled. It was real. He was gone. He had planned this. Meticulously. Like a man organizing his escape from Alcatraz. And she, the clueless idiot wrapped in a towel at Chad's studio, never saw it coming. She fumbled for her phone and called the one person she thought might offer her comfort. Logan. He answered on the third ring. His voice was calm, quiet, distant. Logan. Honey. Eden said, trying to steady her voice. Has your father called you? There was a pause. Logan didn't finish. The silence stretched. He left me. She said quickly, words tumbling out. He abandoned me. Just like that. No warning. No nothing. Logan sighed. A small, exhausted exhale. Then, evenly. You deserved it. Eden froze. What? No sane man would live with you. He continued, still eerily calm. I saw the videos. I saw the images. I wish I hadn't, but I did. Don't call me anymore. Click. The line went dead. Eden stood in the kitchen, phone in hand, blinking at nothing. Desperate, she called her mother next. 3 attempts. Finally, on the 4th, Brenda picked up. Mom. Eden breathed. He's gone. Alex left. Everything. Just gone. There was a pause. Then Brenda's voice came, flat and dry like an old dish rag. What else was he supposed to do? Mom. You were doing narcotics, Eden. Narcotics. And screwing other men. Younger men, I might add. What is a decent husband supposed to do? Bake you a cake. Eden tried, her voice rising. You don't understand. He never gave me a chance to explain. Brenda snapped back like a whip. Explain what? Why you were doing coke. Why you were naked with men the age of your son. Shut up. Just shut up. And don't call me again. Click. And then there was silence. Eden couldn't stay in the house any longer. The walls felt like they were whispering at her, judging her, pressing in closer with every minute. She grabbed her keys with shaking hands and bolted out the door, barefoot in designer slides and yesterday's smeared mascara, like a bad reality show meltdown come to life. She drove straight to Alex's office, the one place she thought she might still find a piece of him. Something stable. Something familiar. Maybe if she could just see him, talk to him, explain, maybe there was still hope. She burst through the front doors of the bank building, her hair in a mess and her eyes wild with desperation. The receptionist, a polite, young woman with a headset and the unfortunate timing of being in Eden's blast radius, looked up, startled. I need to see Alex, Eden said, panting slightly. Alexander Morgan. He works here. The receptionist glanced at her screen and gave a tight, professional smile. Mr. Morgan is currently on leave. Eden blinked. Leave. Yes. Long term. He didn't provide a return date. No return. Eden stopped mid-sentence. Her stomach dropped. Like a trapdoor had opened beneath her. He didn't say where he was going, she asked, her voice cracking. The receptionist shook her head. I'm sorry, ma'am. I really don't have that information. Eden just stood there, frozen. A vibration broke the moment, her phone. She glanced down at the screen. Joint account, $30,000 withdrawn. She stared at the notification, blankly, then clicked it away. She didn't care about the money. Not now. That wasn't why she had come. She didn't want half the savings, or the house, or the car. She wanted Alex. Her husband. The man who used to hold her hand when she panicked about presentations, who rubbed her back when she had migraines, who once called 3 florists to find the exact blue orchid she liked. But that man, that version of Alex, was gone. Not just physically, emotionally, spiritually, entirely. No matter where he was now, Eden knew the truth. He was far away from her. While Eden spiraled in suburbia, Alexander Morgan was in Cabo, sunning himself on a beach chair, sipping something that came with a little umbrella and no emotional baggage. His shirt was off, his sunglasses were on, and for the first time in what felt like years, no one was throwing Red Bull at him or calling him old dude on a live stream. He knew going back home meant stress, confrontation, and more of Eden's teary performances, which he had long since stopped finding Oscar-worthy. So he stayed. One more day became 3. 3 became a week. He was, in every way that mattered, off the grid, or at least trying to be. But Eden, in true Eden fashion, found a way to ruin even that. Unable to reach Alex directly, she did what any deeply repentant, emotionally humbled wife would do. She made a video, online, with dramatic music. Wrapped in faux sincerity and filtered to within an inch of its pixels, Eden looked directly into the camera, eyes red-rimmed, possibly from tears, possibly from last night's eyelash glue, and said, "Alex, if you're watching this, I love you. Please come back. I made mistakes, but I'm still your wife." This isn't how our story ends. Enter Chad, also known as StreamGod98, the man-child who helped her destroy her marriage in the first place. He popped up beside her in the video like a deranged tech support agent. "Yo fam, help this beautiful soul get her man back. Drop a like, share, comment. Let's make this go viral. Hashtag bring back Alex." And because the internet has no standards, it worked. The video exploded. Within minutes, Eden's followers and Chad's brain-melted fanbase swarmed the comment section with passionate pleas. "Alex, come home bro. She loves you man. You're lucky to have her, don't be soft. If he doesn't come back I'm pulling up. This dude's a clown for leaving a fine woman like that." Alex, lying poolside in Cabo, got the first notification when his name was tagged in a video captioned "the woman who just wants her husband back." Then another, and another. Buzz, buzz, buzz. He didn't watch it. He didn't click. He just let the buzzes pile up like emotional spam. When he returned 2 weeks later, tanned and unsmiling, he went straight to court. Kevin Hamilton, always one step ahead, had already filed a cease and desist motion against Eden. The courtroom smelled like perfume, printer ink, and justified pettiness. Eden's lawyer, a man with a tragically hopeful tie and a look of someone who had clearly been fed Eden's version of events, tried to argue her case. She was only trying to win her husband back, he said with forced sincerity. There was no malicious intent. Kevin cut in smoothly, flipping through a stack of printouts like he was unveiling a particularly well-organized crime scene. Yes, well, your client's idea of winning him back included a viral video campaign, coordinated online harassment, and this little gem. He held up a screenshot where one charming commenter wrote, "If Alex doesn't come back soon, I swear I'll hunt him down." No cap. Threats, Kevin said plainly. Public threats. Encouraged by the video and left up for over a week. "My client is being harassed." Online. At his office. In his inbox. The judge looked unimpressed. Eden's lawyer shifted uncomfortably. That wasn't her intent. Kevin shrugged. Intent doesn't erase impact. She turned a private matter into a public circus. The judge turned to Eden, sternly. "Mrs. Morgan, take the post down." 2 weeks had passed since the courtroom showdown. Alex Morgan was finally finding peace in the little things, sunlight, silence, and a well-scheduled haircut. He was sitting at a local upscale salon, reclined slightly in the barber chair, cape around his neck, a warm towel resting across his face. It was serene, almost meditative. Then the door jingled. Enter chaos. "Yo, yo, there he is," a loud, all too familiar voice echoed across the salon. Alex lifted the towel slowly, like a cowboy in an old western sensing danger. There, standing like a reality TV glitch in human form, was Chad Brown, aka StreamGod98, accompanied by a wiry cameraman holding what looked suspiciously like a GoPro duct taped to a ring light. "This is the dude," Chad said, pointing, already grinning. "The one who left his wife. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Morgan, the homewrecker of his own home." Then, with all the maturity of a raccoon on espresso, Chad pulled out a bottle of cologne and dumped it over Alex's head. A sickly cloud of eau de gas station bathroom wafted across the room. Alex blinked. Dripping. The camera rolled. "It's just a joke, man." Chad chuckled nervously. "Come on, bro, lighten up. It's for content." Alex stood up slowly. He didn't say a word. He just looked at the barber, an older man named Tony, who'd been cutting Alex's hair since before Chad had chest hair. Tony understood. Without a word, he walked to the door and locked it. Click. Chad, still smiling like an idiot trying to sell a scam, suddenly shifted in place. Okay, relax, old man. It's just a prank. Haha, real funny. Just some light content." Alex smiled. "Oh, I get it now," he said calmly. "It's just a joke." Then he grabbed Chad by the neck, twisted, and slammed him onto the floor with the grace of a man who'd been storing rage in Tupperware for months. Whump! Chad's lungs evacuated all air like a punctured bouncy castle. Alex hauled him up, dropped him in the barber's chair, and calmly picked up the hair clippers. He clicked them on with a satisfying buzz. He turned to the camera and said, voice cool as marble, "It's just a prank." Then he began to shave Chad's head, long, fluffy influencer hair falling like wounded soldiers to the tiled floor. He stepped back, admired the work, and gave the camera a smug look. Now that is entertainment. The cameraman started to lower his rig in pure panic, voice trembling. Maybe we should stop. But Tony the barber was already standing behind him, arms crossed like a bouncer at a bad club. He said calmly, "You stop, and I'll have you seated in the next chair, right beside that scumsucker." Chad sat in the barber's chair, trembling, half-shaved, drenched in cologne, and desperately trying to hold on to what little dignity remained, which, at this point, was basically just his socks. Alex stood in front of him, calm as ever, holding the clippers in one hand like a man about to renovate a bad decision. Then came the slap. Smack. "Come on, Chad," Alex said coolly, motioning to the camera. "Tell your adoring fans why I filed for divorce." Chad blinked. It's complicated, bro. You were, like, emotionally unavailable, and she." Alex raised the clippers. They buzzed menacingly. "Eyebrows," he said flatly. "We go for the eyebrows next." Chad immediately cracked like a soggy cracker. All right, he blurted. "I was banging her, okay? You found out. Cool. Now let me go, man. Please. I'm itchy." Alex smiled at the camera, serene and satisfied. "There you have it, folks. Now all of you viewers know exactly why I left my wife. Because this monkey was swinging on the wrong branch." And with that, the feed cut. The internet exploded. Within 24 hours, the video had gone viral. Chad's subscriber count plummeted faster than his dignity had in that salon chair, an 80% nosedive. Sponsors fled like rats from a sinking influencer. "We do not condone harassment," one statement read from an energy drink brand that had previously paid Chad to wrestle a watermelon in a onesie. Meanwhile, Eden's world began to collapse in real time. Her company, suddenly aware that their marketing head had a starring role in a viral scandal involving clippers and adultery, politely suggested she take a leave of absence until further review of her professional conduct. Translation: "We're figuring out how to fire you without being sued." And back in court, the divorce proceedings marched on like a well-oiled legal parade. Judge Barlow, who looked like he'd rather be fishing but was paid to witness human disasters, reviewed the stack of evidence. Security footage of Eden entering Chad's studio regularly. Photos of them kissing in public. Intimate parking lot moments that screamed tabloid headline. The court didn't admit the sex tapes. Turns out even the legal system has a threshold for trauma, but it didn't matter. The case was as open and shut as a microwave door. Eden tried one final plea, tears and all. "Your Honor, I still love him. This has all been a misunderstanding. He never gave me a chance to explain." Judge Barlow held up a hand like a man who's heard this exact sob story over lukewarm coffee 100 times. "Mrs. Morgan," he said dryly, "you were caught on camera. Multiple cameras. And live-streamed. There is no misunderstanding. There's just evidence." And just like that, the divorce was finalized. Alex Morgan was free. Legally, emotionally, spiritually. He paid a modest settlement, the house was sold, and thanks to their similar incomes, there was no alimony. Eden, now alone in her half-packed condo, found herself in a new phase of her downfall, the one where no one picked up her calls. She called Logan, straight to voicemail. She called Brenda, blocked. She tried again, and again, nothing. Neither Logan nor Brenda would answer her phones. In the months that followed the courtroom fireworks, everyone involved scattered into their own private spin-offs, some thriving, others crashing harder than a crypto Ponzi scheme. Eden, for one, didn't bounce back immediately. After being put on leave from her company, HR finally did what they'd been trying to do since the haircut video went viral, fired her. Officially, the termination was due to conflicts of interest involving brand-affiliated influencers. Unofficially, it was because no one wanted to explain to corporate why their marketing head had been trending on Reddit with the tag #shampoo-scandal. At first, Eden spiraled, briefly dabbling in wine and candle Instagram posts and vague quotes about rising from the ashes. But eventually, she landed on something that worked, a travel blog. She rebranded herself as an independent female wanderer and started uploading perfectly filtered selfies in front of beaches, mountains, and one suspiciously close-up waterfall. She called it Eden Escapes. Her tagline? "Finding myself one flight at a time." Somehow it worked. She gained a modest following. People liked her aesthetics. No one really asked about Chad anymore, and those who did got blocked immediately. For the first time in a long time, she was doing okay. Alone, yes, but okay. Chad, however, did not fare quite so well. After being publicly assaulted, shaved, and memed into oblivion, Chad was banned from most major streaming platforms for violating community guidelines and basic human decency. His sponsorships ghosted him faster than a Tinder date who finds out you live with your mom. One brand even posted a farewell tweet that simply read, "We don't know him." With no platform left and no one willing to fund his antics, Chad was forced to get a real job. The kind with uniforms, grease traps, and zero ring lights. He now washes dishes at a cafe, wearing a hairnet over a scalp that still hadn't fully forgiven him for what it endured. When asked by a coworker if he ever planned to stream again, Chad sighed, stared into the sudsy sink, and muttered, "Not unless it's dishwater." Meanwhile, Alex Morgan was doing just fine. He bought a new house, nothing flashy, just clean, modern, and most importantly, peaceful. Located 10 minutes from the bank, the commute was blissfully free of marital drama, live streamers, or emotionally weaponized cologne. He didn't furnish the house with any help. No Eden-making Pinterest boards, no judgment over his choices. Just him, a coffee maker that didn't argue, and a couch he picked because it was comfortable, not a statement. But the best decision Alex made? The dog. A German shepherd named Duke, loyal, low drama, and unlikely to sleep with influencers. Life, as it turned out, had a funny way of restoring balance when the chaos finally stopped demanding attention. For Alexander Morgan, peace wasn't some grand, sweeping event. It came in small, quiet victories, the kind that never go viral, but mean everything. It was waking up in a house that actually felt like home. No yelling, no slamming doors, no suspicious phone calls in the bathroom. Just sunlight streaming through clean windows and the soft snoring of Duke, his German shepherd, sprawled across the foot of the bed like a hairy security blanket. It was the sound of Duke's tail thumping against the hardwood whenever Alex walked through the front door. It was Sunday mornings with black coffee, the newspaper, and no one telling him he was too old-fashioned. It was grilling steak in the backyard while Duke patrolled the perimeter like a four-legged general. It was realizing, one random Tuesday, that he hadn't thought about Eden in days, and when he did, it didn't sting. It didn't even register as loss. Just a chapter that ended exactly when it needed to. Alex still worked at the bank, and he liked it just fine. Numbers didn't lie. They didn't cheat. They didn't film you getting doused in cologne and call it content. And the people who mattered, Kevin, his lawyer and now semi-regular poker buddy, Tony, the barber who still greeted him with "You want the Chad special?" and a laugh, were still there. As for Logan, father and son were closer than ever. They'd meet for lunch every Friday, trading jokes and stock tips, and Duke would always try to steal a fry when no one was looking. Alex didn't need grand adventures or dramatic declarations. His life was calm, grounded, and honest. And on most nights, just before bed, he'd sit on the porch with Duke beside him, sipping tea while the stars blinked above. He'd scratch Duke's ears, smile, and say, "We did good, buddy. Real good." And Duke, ever loyal, would lean against him, tail wagging, as if to say, "Yeah, we did." Life was quiet. Life was kind. And Alex Morgan was finally happy. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.